make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
So I've been curious, Bill. What brings a Missouri lawman way out here?
Yeah, looking for that grand sense of adventure in the West, I suppose.
So being a lawman wasn't adventurous enough for you?
I guess I was looking for a different kind of adventure. And turns out Memphis wasn't all it's cracked up to be.
What happened in Memphis?
A bunch of good men got killed, all of them my friends. After that, Memphis just lost its luster.
When'd you get to running with Shooter?
I met Shooter in Chattanooga. In lieu of a court-martial, he was on disciplinary leave. A lot of people didn't like Shooter, but we always got along pretty good.
I don't know, Bill. If I was you, I'd grow a pair of eyes in the back of my head.
Sooner or later, every man's got to make a choice. On the back end of that choice is where a man finds out what he's made of.
You're the only one who can end this.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
there, everybody. Scripted from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Got a little discombobulated, a little late today. But when a person isn't late, is always right on time, is Mr. Pixel Traitor. Welcome to the show, Pixel.
Hey, brother, good to be here.
Hey. A little loud on the volume there. If you don't
All right,
mind
let me.
a little bit.
Yeah, I'll make an adjustment real quick.
All right, no problem.
Dun, dun, dun. How about now? Any better?
Little less, little quieter. I think
Now?
about there.
Okay.
No problem. My fault for not getting you in here long quick enough to do the sound check. Anyway, so welcome to the show, everybody that has showed up. All 6 of you so far. Today we're going to talk about a little bit about crowdfunding tools, new crowdfunding tools. Most of them, basically, most of them found over there on Fund My Comic, the new hotness when it comes to crowdfunding websites. Right now, I think there's 2 primary websites that I know of. There is Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Okay. Anybody that has used Kickstarter has talked about how clunky it is and outdated. Basically, having to use a backer kit to keep track of everything. So an auxiliary, piece of software or website to keep everything straight. The Indiegogo, when you deal with Indiegogo, you have to deal with a lot of shenanigans and no customer service to speak of. It used to be different. You used to be able to talk to somebody, but they pretty much seems like they've eliminated almost all of their customer service and replaced it with trust and safety, which is not customer service. It's just like the opposite of customer service. It's like anti-customer. Which is pretty much the apparatus that most of them use to determine who's their customer. So, not very user-friendly. There's a lot of things that they do that is pretty shady. The tip that is pretty much mandated to every single campaign. If you don't physically put it back to 0, it's up to $11 added on to the end, or anything that you buy from Indiegogo right now. And it was basically told to me by this gentleman right here that they add that onto the total that you supposedly crowdfund, which means they get a percentage of that. It increases their percentage of your crowdfund that you get back. And so, who knows how many hundreds and hundreds of dollars that adds up to. That's on your dime and on your schneid at the end of the day. It's just some really shady stuff. And then if you need to complain about it, or complain about something else, or have a technical problem, like your money's not being dispersed on time, which has happened to multiple friends of mine, then you try to contact them, and everything gets forwarded to trust and safety for some reason. That is per the testimony of several people I know. A lot of people have just said, I've had several people say, I'm not doing a crowdfunding website, period, like Global Frequency. They're just going to set up their own website and basically go, host everything themselves, which is not cost effective for everybody, but if you're making a pretty nice penny off of crowdfunding or independently wealthy to start with, then that's probably a way you can go, and multiple people are going that way. But there is this other website that started about a year ago now, a little over a year ago now, called Fund My Comic, which started with basically taking everybody's gripes and complaints about, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Zoop, and Crowdfunder, FUNDR, very clever. And I don't. That's the only other websites I can think of right off the top of my head. But the rest of them are like just inconsequential. They don't really have enough market share to mount to a hill of beans. And so basically, primarily when we talk about crowdfunding websites, we're talking about either Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Of course, around here we call them pink and green. Kickstarter being green, Indiegogo being pink. Just not getting very much time. Anyway, creators outlets Shadow Band are just unpopular, aka Indigo went instead of Indiegogo. Gotcha. Took me a second there. I don't know why anybody would use Indiegogo anymore. They do. All the major, lights in our part of the sphere use Indiegogo, and I've talked to them about it. I've pointed out these things that your customer's going to get. If your customer's not very watching it, they'll get $11 immediately added onto the top, and that doesn't go to you, it goes to Indiegogo. But they cut it out of you later on when the taxes come due, when their percentage comes out. And I was told by somebody I really respected at the time, don't really respect as much as I did then, but that, well, until we see a six-figure campaign on Fund My Comic, we're going to stay at Indiegogo. The very same guy was complaining and said, why is my comic the only one trending right now, from our group? And the reason why is everybody else is being banned, shadow banned, and some of these big guys, they even complain about disbursement. They complained about no customer service. They've complained about just tip. They've complained, about all these things that Indiegogo's doing, but then they refuse to leave the website because Fund My Comic is not, whatever their excuse is. But Fund My Comic is pretty much closing the gap, and they're making moves now that are going to differentiate them from the pink and green. I don't know what color we are, like burned yellow or something. What would you call it? Umber or umber?
I think it just goes by gold.
Gold.
Let's go for the gold.
There we go. Gold. Yeah, we're gold. All right. But what Fund My Comic is doing is it's actually customer centric. And customer being the people using the website, not the customer being the corporate overlords that are a sock puppet for. Okay. And what that means is that Fund My Comic are doing things that are going to benefit the people actually funding through the website, and benefiting the people who are actually using the website to buy comics. And because Fund My Comic is for comics, games, I think right now we're doing some novels. And we also have Fundiverse that's basically ramping up. And it's supposed to be for pretty much everything else. There was a movie on there for a little bit, kind of a test campaign. But, I played the friend of mine, Jared Crispin's movie at the beginning, because there's a parallel economy that's ramping up, that's starting to stretch its legs a little bit and crank up, and is basically starting to gain some momentum. We're seeing some people coming out of nowhere, coming out of the crowd, not from Hollywood, not from Nashville, and are starting to make waves in the mainstream. We're starting to see some independent voices, some independent platforms, some people like Nerdrotica was on Fox News. Okay, they're starting to like take the true independent voices more seriously, and they're starting to try to like platform those people or make them part of their platform. And so we're starting to see the counterculture is starting to gain momentum, and the heart of the counterculture to come in the crowdfunding space, especially comic-wise, is going to be squarely in Fund My Comic. I honestly believe that. The website is flexible. It's able to pivot, and it's also able to innovate in a way that these bloated, corporate-owned, entities are not able to. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop for just a second and reconnect with a different browser. Chrome, for
Yeah,
whatever
I
reason,
would
is
do
going
that.
crazy
I
right now.
would do that. I
Okay.
had that problem
Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah. All right. Um. What's up, Shadow Punk? What's up, dude? If you want to come on board, Shadow Punk, or Will, let me know. I'll drop a link. You might help with the discussion here. On a second, let me just go ahead and do that. And anyway, so what this channel is about. What this channel is about, what we're doing now, is I dropped that link in the Genesis Crew chat if you guys want to come on. So, dude. But what basically what this channel is about, or what this show is about specifically, is what's next, what's coming, what is on the horizon. And around here we try to identify the trends, try to identify the movers and shakers, the people who are going to, or the people that are building the new roads, okay? Not the people that are like tapping down, asphalt and the old ones and trying to fill in cracks, okay? Right. Back to, let's see how this one works anyway. Yeah, I had to cancel the show using Chrome because Chrome wouldn't connect for me the other day.
I'm actually still in Chrome just because I don't have another browser that's compatible right now, so I'll have to download something. But I just
really?
restarted it. I think it's better now. Yeah.
Okay. What helped me the other day was like going into Chrome settings and doing like a refresh. That helped me, of course, after I had to cancel the show. So.
Yeah.
Chrome equals 666. There you go. Everything's the devil with you, dude. Everything's the devil. Anyway. So basically, reason why I asked Pixel to come on today is because he's got a brand new tool that they're debuting on Fund My Comic that's going to help people that are starting their crowdfunding campaign to figure out what their costs are and what's a good crowdfunding goal that's going to help them basically pay their back end, pay artists, pay their production costs, and pay the people who they're going to print, and figure out how much everything's going to cost them ahead of time. Which right now, I know from my campaign, I basically guesstimated everything. I looked at other people and tried to like extrapolate, and I don't, you know, people came up to me like afterwards and were like, "Oh, well, this is you didn't charge enough for this, you didn't charge enough for that," you know. And yeah, I'm in the hole. I know I'm in the hole, but one second. Big blue shirt, and the background is satanic. Believe it. No, it's not. It's Ironsides. It's the opposite of satanic. Cut it out. Anyway, so let's take a look at this baby. Let's crank it up, take it for a drive here. This is the Fund My Comic Pixel Traitor crowdfunding calculators. There you go. All right, so this is pretty much primarily for people that are using Fund My Comic. So it's using all the percentages from Fund My Comic, correct? No, you got IGG and Kickstarter. Okay, I got you.
Okay, is it letting me unmute? There we go. Okay, yeah. So I've listed out some of the different ones here just so you can kind of see how the fees work. And what this came from was Luke and I had discussed my campaign when we had gone through it and kind of what I was doing with it. And then he said, I'd really like to get some kind of calculator or something built for the site. And it was something I had already started thinking about as well, because I had built spreadsheets and done other things for myself personally to keep track of percentage of cost and all that. And so it wasn't that hard of a lift to start taking what I had done and translate it into this. The difference being that I didn't want to put a spreadsheet online. I actually wanted to have a UI and have something that's good to use. And so that's where this came from. And right now on the site, we have the savings calculator that people can see. This right here that I'm showing off is the combined calculator tool that I've created. But the first thing that we showed everybody was just the savings calculator, which was, how much did I earn? And from that, because of these different fees and stuff, how much would I have saved if I had gone with FMC? So for instance, in my campaign, I'm just going to say 20,000 right now.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Let's see. Hold on. 20,000. We'll hit calculate.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Kickstarter and Indiegogo basically have the same amount. They're both using 5% for the platform structure, and they both use Stripe on the back end. Kickstarter has a little deal in the back end that pledges under $10 count as micro pledges, and so they're handled a little bit differently. But regardless, I've just built this 3.65% is essentially what it says right here in the thing. I did some looking to see like what the average person would spend on a campaign based on the data that I have from IndieCron, which I ran for 5 years. And the average backer was around $40 to $60 in that range. And so I went with the low end and said, okay, let's assume $40. That puts us in a higher percentage amount of what that 30 cents would represent. And so I just rounded up a little bit and did some math and said, okay, 3.65% is what Stripe takes. Now, if they, somebody, I think if you go in and you figure like a $300 pledge, that would be closer to 3%. But for the baseline here, we're just going to say, 3.65% across the board. It'll be 666. All right. So what I did here is I calculated based on how much the fees would be for the top tier. So if you're an FMC ambassador, that's the highest level you can be. And that's somebody that gets their campaign on the site, has a following, and is actively going out and promoting the site to other people to get new backers, as well as to get new people to put their own campaigns on. And so you become kind of a street team
some of
recruiter.
These big guys who are currently clinging to Indiegogo, even though it's sinking for whatever reason. This would be, people who are basically, putting out six-figure campaigns. These savings that these guys would be making of Fund My Comic is pretty significant,
and people like publishers and whatnot, like I think Peter Samedi may get something like this too, because he's running multiple campaigns per year for a lot of different stuff. A publisher would benefit from something like this as well. where they'd be able to get 1% fee, which is very, very minimal. Especially when you look at this, you say, okay, Kickstarter,
Yeah.
you know, and on my campaign, I would have saved almost 50%.
Oh wow.
You know,
Yeah.
it was basically double the fees.
Does this add in the $11 tip that just comes right off the top on Indiegogo?
I do not consider that at all.
Oh, okay.
Well, the main reason too is that I'm not assuming backer count with this. This is just straight up numbers.
Oh, okay.
At least
Right.
on this calculator. Now, when you want to go deeper into things, which is what the newer version of the calculator is about, that's where we start having a lot of fun, because that's where we start looking at, okay, how many backers do you have? How much
Yeah.
are you spending on X, Y, and Z? And that's the big one that we've been talking about. And this is where a lot of the discussion recently, where I've been asking for numbers from people to talk about how much like certain rates are. And the reason for that is because I want to get an average for like the low end, high end, and in the middle ground of what creative rates would be, so that somebody can come in and say, okay, I don't have the budget for a high end book, but I know I can do something kind of the middle of the road.
Right.
I'm looking at doing it, you know, overseas in China or something. And so, like, what's my cost going to be? Right now, the numbers I have represented in here are all just fudged numbers. They aren't really backed up with a lot of real data at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just kind of assumed numbers. So this stuff needs to be adjusted a little bit, but I'm just going to come in here real quick and show, okay, here's my project. You can type in a name. I'm just going to say Bunny. I'm going to say the ambassador program, 1%. Type of book I'm looking at. I'm going to say, well, you can't see the drop down in here for some reason, but it shows black and white, floppy, color floppy, and then it shows the international, which would be China printing. So black and white, color floppy, perfect bound, whatever. I'm just going to say floppy. And now again, in this setup, this is assuming like 500 units. And this comes into play a little bit later, but these numbers are here. You can come in and adjust these numbers however you'd like. And then I'm assuming about $4 per unit shipped. So this would be the cost of print as well as the freight combined. This is kind of what you have to keep in mind. So when they'd say, okay, it's going to cost like, you know, $1,500 to print your books, but then it's going to cost you another $1,000 to get them to you.
Right.
So you need to take that number and just kind of break it by, okay, 500 copies per copy, $4. Cool. And that's how you get this number.
Okay.
Creative rates.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm going to make this color just so it's here. Color, floppy, okay, $5 per unit, whatever.
That is a colorist, right?
Yeah. Now we come into here and we can say, okay, let's just do mid-range for creative types on a 28-page book.
Okay.
We'll say writing's $25 a page. It may be cheap, right? You know, $10 a page, whatever. These numbers again have to be fudged.
Right.
Editing, $15 a page, $75 for pencils, $75 for inks, $100 for colors. That's kind of high probably for the mid-range, but
yeah, that's
what I've got here. Letters, $20. That's kind of the higher end, although I have seen people charge upwards of $30. And then pre-press, I have a flat rate and then a flat rate for cover. Now, I may come back and make these per page, but right now they're calculating on a flat rate.
Right.
So this is your creative rates. This is what you're plugging in so that you know, okay, this is how much I'm going to do. Now, you don't have to choose one of these. You can just pick one and then start filling these out and changing these, but all these numbers are adjustable. So I could come in and say, okay, I want this to be $26, $30, whatever.
Right.
Then you get down into other stuff. So fulfillment. Sorry, my screen is running a little slow here.
All right. The opinions expressed by Hojo are not the opinions of this show or this channel. Just so you know. All right. Anyway. So, all right. So fulfillment. Yeah, that's a lot of hidden cost in fulfillment.
Right. And so you come back in and you break these down too. You don't really think about it until you look at it. But let's say, okay, supplies, like let's say about $3. Now I think I might bump this up to about $4 or $5. We'll see.
Right.
And then the US shipping rate, it's probably coming up or has come up a little bit. So I may make that like $6, maybe even a little bit higher. But just that's like kind of your base rate for like media mail, assuming that you're going to be shipping that, or maybe even first class based on that package. I need to talk to more people about what they're being charged. Estimated international
add about
rate.
$3 onto everything if you're California.
Yeah. So you get into that, and then you look at your international rates, say about $25. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little less. I'm just averaging here, I guess. And then estimated backer count, I have this currently set at 100, but you could go through and figure it out, times, like mine is almost at 400 backers. So I would plug in 400. and then the estimated international backing. You can adjust this to fit you, or you can just leave it the way you want. On average, what we've seen in most of these campaigns is about a 10% international backing, give or take. And so that's what we have here. Now, these other ones, I'm still working with this for the calculation portion. You have your stretch goals. So you can come in and turn this on and you can add a stretch goal. So let's say, $2 for a standee.
Right.
And so now we're going to add $2 for every book for a standee. Cool. Uncategorized expenses, we've got $300 for miscellaneous stuff you never know, $20 for mail scale. You could go back and just make this 0 if you want to, but you can zero these out or do what you want. I'm just going to leave these the way they are. So these are kind of some of those hidden expenses that you may not even think about when you're starting to set this up. And then expense buffer. Now, I talk to people all the time about when you're estimating things, estimate a little high, consider about 25 to 30% for wiggle room in case prices go up right in the middle of your campaign. For mine, for instance, shipping rates went up at the start of the year. So I actually may wind up losing a little bit on shipping, but I'm okay because I buffered and made preparations for that type of expense. So we come in here and we hit calculate total. Now, the formatting on this page right now is a little wonky because, again, this is beta. I'm still trying to get everything finished, but you calculate your total. And the page jumps down. Let me jump back up really quick. Come on. This thing is lagging hard. StreamYards really needs to get optimized, especially if they're saying they work for Chrome.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Goodness. Okay, here we go. So subtotal just for creative. That's the everything that we did earlier, the writing, editing, letters, all that stuff. For that 28-page book, almost $10,000. Subtotal for printing, based on the amounts that we picked out, we were assuming about, for that 500 count, we'll say $2,500 was the printing and shipping for that. Total supplies, again, these are the numbers that were pulled all together. Total for shipping,
right?
Cost for stretch goals, we're assuming $2 per stretch goal item. Now, again, this right here is only for the items that you have sold, not necessarily how many you've purchased. So, like, you go out and you buy 500 standees, you only sell 100 of them. I mean, that's unfortunately that I can't really calculate that because I don't know how much those are going to be, but I'm just assuming what your base rate is, kind of like for each item individually. And you kind of have to figure that out for yourself. That's too much for me to assume. But in this particular setup, this is how much in stock essentially that you have sold. Production cost per unit, that's $23 per comic essentially is what it's going to cost for the 100 sold. And then it just breaks it down per unit shipped, $31. And then you get all the way down here. So the per unit international shipped with the stretch goals, the whole total of each package that you would ship out is approximately $53. That's how much all that stuff costs you to build it based on that backer count of 100. It's pretty interesting just when you look at that. And so again, these numbers, I need to go through and confirm that they're right, just because I've been testing this and I haven't done a whole lot of adjustments since I started making some tweaks here. But ultimately, a lot of these numbers may go away in the final, and it'll just be more concise information. But it's basically telling you like what your estimated production cost is and what you need to look for. Now, if you have an estimated production cost of $13,408, we'll skip the buffer because I don't think I have the buffer figured out in here right now. Yeah, it doesn't look like I do. You get all that done. You come down into here. You say, okay, my selected platform ambassador has 4% fees because it's that. Actually, I probably need to readjust that because it would actually be 4.65 now. But so you've got that. So your minimum goal that you need to be able to hit your break-even point is now almost $14,000 because you have fees of $558 on top of that, what you would have made. So there's a whole little calculation you have to be able to do there. And then you get through all of this. You can come down here and take a look now. So if I was on Kickstarter, I would have almost $1,300 in fees. An FMC, I'm keeping half of that. Keep it in my pocket, good to go. My savings, $615. My suggested goal is approximately 14, and that's just to break even. And so when somebody goes out and says, hey, I'm going to do a floppy, I got to pay all this money out to my creatives, do all this different stuff, shipping, all this other, I'm going to put a $500 goal in my campaign. because they saw somebody else do it. They probably have zero idea that they have this much that they have to look into actually getting. And the other thing too is, or maybe they're fine with absorbing the cost, but they may still not know exactly what the costs are. So this is to just give people an idea of, hey, here's what you're looking at facing. Here's what you're kind of going to need to make. And, you make your decisions for yourself, how you want to do this. Because I know there's not a lot of campaigns right now that are making 10K plus. Is my audio okay inside of YouTube, or is it just you? Just you? Okay. Cool. Oh man. So I've got a cough that's been kicking my butt for a couple days. Anyway, that's the basis of all this, is just to give people an idea of really what they're looking at as far as financials here. And I think it's a nice tool to have. And it's like I said earlier, it was based on part of the work that I had done for Merc Maid when I started putting my stuff together. I had a bunch of spreadsheets, kind of how to break down the cost of everything and what it was going to have to charge, and just to understand, okay, I've built all these different things. I've got trading cards, I've got a standee, I've got all this. How much do I need to give as far as my pricing so that I'm not losing money on each tier?
Right.
And it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's going to be a valuable tool, no doubt.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, I mean, anything we can do or anything Fund My Comic can do to help the customer to make better decisions, I think knowing what your threshold is very valuable. You might not initially make that your goal per se, if you don't think you have enough of a fan base to meet a goal like a 1,500, 200, 2,000, 5,000, or anything like that. But this will let you know just what your real actual goal is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Real numbers for a real situation. And being informed, it's the whole G.I. Joe thing, right? Knowing's half the battle.
Knowing's half the battle, right.
Yeah, if you know where you're at, you know what you gotta do. If you're able to absorb some of those costs, then you can keep your goal lower. We set our goal at 7,500 on Merc Maid.
Right.
We knew that was tight. We knew we needed to get at least 10. I think by the time that we fulfill, and with the number of backers that we have and the perks and stuff that we have, we probably needed closer to like 15 to 18 to fulfill everything.
Oh,
because of the amount of because of just the amount of stuff that we're adding, and the cost of the creative and some other stuff, and also just little things that come up you don't really know about.
No.
And so
no.
We're fine. In fact, even if we hadn't made past 10K, I would have gone into the pockets and fulfilled the book myself. It's not that big a deal for me. I understand where I'm at and what I need to do.
Right.
But for somebody that is relying on these hard numbers to be able to hit certain things, if they don't hit those, it can be devastating for them, and they may not be able to fulfill. And so they need to understand at least a base idea. And again, I warn people not to look at this as the be all end all kind of thing. This is a rough estimate of what you're facing,
right? And
use it wisely. But an informed creator is definitely going to make much better decisions than somebody that just comes out of nowhere and just starts throwing stuff on their campaign. 15 covers and various other stuff. I mean, that's a whole other ball of wax too when you start dropping in a ton of covers, but you have a low print run.
Right.
Those prices escalate. We're not really even addressing that with this calculator right now. We're just really hitting some of the core expenses that you're going to run into.
Well, what is your for these numbers? What's your base amount of customers that is built into these numbers?
This is based on 100 customers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the more customers you get, the more these numbers will go down, correct?
Well, the main ones that'll go down are your amount per backer to break even. Like right now, if you were to break even, you would have to get $139 per backer from 100 backers.
Yeah,
but if you
that
had,
would be a
let's,
box or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean that just wouldn't work for a standard backer. But like if you come back up here and you say, okay, let's assume that we're going to get like 300 backers.
Okay.
If we take a look at that, we say 300 and we recalc it. Oops. This lag is killing me.
Yeah, blame Chrome and StreamYard's having a breakup right now. So.
For real.
Yeah.
See, now your cost per backer comes down to $54 per backer, which is a lot more manageable.
Right. So in some way, so the more backers you get, the more ideal your situation is, and the more Fund My Comics, the difference with Fund My Comic comes in. So in other words, these guys with like 6-figure campaigns that have so much that, you know, Fund My Comic just becomes even more of a better option the more money you make.
Let's take a look at this real quick. So Ethan has $1 million campaign, right?
Yeah.
Or at least we know he's got at least one. So let's just say $1 million.
Okay.
On Indiegogo, he would have paid almost $100,000 in fees.
Wow.
On FMC, as part of the ambassador program, he would have paid half that.
That's significant. That is very significant. Even for somebody like Ethan, that would be very significant.
The amount that he paid in fees is enough to fund 4, almost 5 minor campaigns at 10K.
And we're not even adding in the $11 tip that if they don't pay attention comes off the top.
Yeah.
Which is added on to Ethan's total, and then later, so they take the percentage out of Ethan's total, but they add that $11 tip onto his total, which pads their back end again, and so they're double dipping off of Ethan. They would be double dipping off of Ethan. So for those, for those who didn't set the tip to 0, which some people forget,
Yeah, no, it's a mess. I really don't appreciate them doing that, and I understand as a business why they would do that. I just think it's very underhanded, and
it's
I think
slimy. It's slimy as all get out, no doubt. But at the same time, it's a drop down. You have to drop down and manually set it to 0 for it not to come out, and it's just it's one of the nastiest things I've ever seen anybody do. And it's not commented on anywhere on that website that that's what they're doing. You literally have to know about it when you go in, or you fall prey to it. Fortunately, that's FMC does have a tip, but it's something that you manually set if you want to do it, and then you determine the amount that you want to add on, and the minimum amount's like $1, and so and that not only that, but the tip pushes your campaign up to the front page.
Yes, that's key right there too. People are seeing exactly what their tip is doing. It's going towards helping the back end with FMC to maintain things, but the campaign benefits from giving a tip.
Yeah, this website's basically by the people for the people. You hear that and it's kind of like used, kind of slung around, but in FMC's case, that's literal. Basically, FMC is like people that were like done with it, Indiegogo and Kickstarter's shady ways. That basically made a list of things that they hated about those two websites and built a crowdfunding resource specifically for gaming, board gaming and comics and novels that would essentially be a Kickstarter Indiegogo alternative, and so basically it's intuitive to the customer needs. And we know we know the customer, the people that use the website for crowdfunding. We know what their needs are because they're the needs of that people who built the website had when they campaigned. And so it's basically inside baseball all the way through. And the more people who discover that and the more people that use it, I think the bigger it's going to grow. I think it's inevitable that this is going to wind up being. Hopefully it's not Betamax over VHS. You know, Betamax was a better platform than VHS, but everybody used VHS because it had more money behind it. More money pushing it. And we want to be the Betamax. We want to be the VHS. You know, so I know I'm old. That's an old example, but. Anyway, so this is available on the website right now, from my comic website. Pixel, you there?
Yep, as soon as it'll unmute me. Yeah, so the basic calculator is available on the website. The expanded calculator is not yet. It is coming. However, I've got to get this thing cleaned up a little bit more, make sure that we've got all the good stuff in here that we really need.
Yeah.
And go from there. But that's basically where it's at. And so there's a few things here and there I need to clean up and get that ready to go. Once I get the data that I need for all the different rates and stuff,
yeah,
I'll feel comfortable releasing it, and then we'll upload this to the site, and then people can use it. But if anybody wants to check it out now, you can hit me up on Twitter and check it out. I think I actually even linked to it in a couple of my posts. So yeah, it's out there floating around.
Yeah, I think it's on your profile right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Or it's at least, I don't think it's on my profile, but it is in, gosh, it's going to be in like one of the posts that I made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, basically, are there any other tools that you know of that are changes that are coming to FMC that we could be looking forward to?
I think the next one coming is not so much a quality of life thing for creators as much as it is for the backers, but it's your backer number thing. I believe that's something he wants to get going.
Yeah.
There are some major upgrades that he has planned, as far as like inventory control and a few other things to be able to create packages and stuff, but that's a lot of work. So there's going to be a lot of expense involved with that. So it's going to be some time. In the meantime, his main focus is just getting more people aware of the site.
Yeah.
Trying to make some strategic partnerships here and there. I think I had actually suggested, because this calculator has so much information and it has stuff about supplies.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could work out some kind of like advertising or something with a company that does like Gemini, for instance, or for a printer. Like be able to like, hey, mix them. Do you want to sponsor the calculator for a month? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out. But I think it'd be a good way to at least kind of generate some extra income for the website, but also make people aware of some printers and different things. And this is some of the stuff I wanted to do with IndieCron back in the day too, was I had started making partnerships with printers and things to be able to put a calculator on the website and some other things like that. But a lot of that just didn't pan out because I didn't have the time.
I think the ultimate goal, and this is something that Luke has expressed, is to become a one-stop shop for people to crowdfund and print, and then have shipping options for them also. And so everything's under the same umbrella. Just streamline the process, take the guesswork out of it, take the individual stress out of it, to where once you go with FMC, there's a path to go from, creating the campaign, designing the campaign, coming up with the numbers, to pre-press, to printing, to fulfillment.
Yeah.
And right now, FMC is partnering with Critical Blast, and Critical Blast is actually getting into the publishing side of things. And so that is actually, there is already a nascent partnership in place that is going to do just that. But as we go, as Fund My Comic expands and more people start using it and start, more money starts rolling in, they're going to be able to make these upgrades and make these changes. But the most important thing, I think, is that FMC is actually trying new things that are going to make the crowdfunder customer, their lives easier, and make the process less guesswork, less stress, less having to deal with a lot of different vendors, and basically eventually moving everything under one umbrella. So Fund My Comic becomes a resource from that you come up with the idea, you create the comic, but beyond that, as soon as you hit FMC, it's going to be a roller coaster ride to the end, that's on the same track.
I'm curious to see how that works out. I think that there are some benefits there, but I think it would be far better to have just a partner company or spin up a partner company that can guide people rather than couple it into FMC.
Okay.
But regardless, I think that having a company that is like Critical Blast, for instance,
right,
that is tied in and can help guide a campaign from start to finish is definitely going to be important. It's when you have brand new creators coming in and they don't know much about the process.
Right.
Having somebody with experience that can talk about the things that they didn't even consider.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. For me, when I was putting my campaigns together, I had the experience of watching all these other campaigns get created, and from managing IndieCron, I saw how much they were making, kind of how they were developing their perks, but also I had developed all those relationships with the creators that had put their campaigns on there. So I was talking with these people on a regular basis. Global Frequency, Neff, huge help with just bouncing ideas and discussing how their campaign was built and how their philosophy on how they handled things. Endless respect for that guy. And that just tried to do everything that I could to understand the process and get my own numbers, ask questions left and right, and don't be afraid to shop around, look around and see what people have. Don't just take one number as gospel.
Right.
Get 5, 6, 7 quotes if you need to, and just figure out what the best option is for you. And what worked for me may not be the best for you. Hojo printed a lot of stuff locally.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think printing locally, especially here in California, is really the best option for me.
No.
So I'll probably end up going overseas. That's just
spending any money in California is not a good move right now. For several people inside of California have I think your gas is up to $7 in some places, a gallon.
In some places, yeah. I paid $5.30 a gallon a couple days ago. Yeah.
Wow. But the bottom line, though, and I think this is really significant, is that what you get from Fund My Comic, and the reason I push it so hard, is because the more people that put their eggs in this basket, the more people that use the website, and the more fees that go into the kitty, and the more that the FMC can get these expansions done quicker. And FMC's way ahead of schedule. I think right now FMC is where Luke speculated they would be in 5 years, and we're just over a year in.
Yeah.
And so I think it's around 5 years he had a goal list, and I think he's already met most of the goals that he had up to almost 5 years, and so they're way ahead of schedule, and they're only picking up steam. I think when Kelsey's book hits, Blaster Kid, I don't know how far along he is on that, but when that hits, That's going to be an FMC.
Blaster Kid.
Go ahead.
Blaster Kid's Richard Friend. Oh, is Kelsey doing colors on it?
Well, whatever
Shank.
his comic
Shank is okay. Okay, Shank is his, I believe.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Whatever his comic is, whatever the name it is, Kelsey's going to be a FMC exclusive. Right now, I believe he's going to be. And
Yeah.
so FMC is going to be the only place to find it. And it'll probably be FMC's first six-figure campaign. And
I hope it is for him. I think he definitely deserves it. He's far too humble about his talent. And God,
Oh, yeah.
I wish I could get some work done by him.
Well, he's the first big name that actually figured out that what FMC is, the significance of it. He's the first one to actually understand that, and I've seen interviews with him where he actually said that this is the way of the future. This is where we're headed, and he's just gonna. He's lazy. He said he's lazy. He just wants to get there ahead of everybody and wait. You know, so rather than follow trends, which Kelsey's like, I'm just going to identify the trend and I'm just going to get there ahead of everybody and just kind of like, you know, take off my shoes and throw up my feet for a while and wait on everybody to catch up. And so, but I think Luke has kind of hinted that he is in talks to actual comic book companies, producers that I can't speculate. I don't know who they are. I know Arrow is the FMC primary distributor, using FMC as their primary distributor. And Arrow's got a lot of great things planned, a lot of great comics coming out. That Shadow King is amazing.
Shadow Kingdom is fantastic, and the artwork on it is so amazing. I got to see a behind the scenes look at the inks for a bunch of pages.
Right.
Holy cow.
Right.
Russ just killed it.
Oh, definitely. And the cards that just closed out earlier today, the Iron Age Icons card set, that was an FMC exclusive, and that's just an amazing idea. And have somebody like take characters from these indie producers, some of them don't even have comics out, like me, and make these official looking like Marvel heyday cards, you know, the Marvel medals, things like that. And he made these cards like all of them were like basically painted images and like Marvel masterpieces. I remember I had some of those, and like almost Alex Ross level, and he's doing like these independent like characters that are just in our sphere, you know, in our area, and and they all look just absolutely gorgeous. But that was an FMC exclusive. I think he might go to the other ones, but there's some things that are not going to be available when he goes to Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So that campaign was awesome. He closed out over 7,000. But I think the more people that let me just do my best to be kind here, but the more people that, you know, get the memo that Indiegogo and Kickstarter are not getting better, they're not investing in their technology. You know, Kickstarter in particular is a very clunky platform to use still. It's only going to get worse because they don't seem to be like, you know, streamlining their process. They seem to be quite fine because they're making money, and so there's no urgency to improve.
Right.
And in Indiegogo, it's just like turn villain. They
Yeah,
do a villain turn. So go ahead.
The thing for me is both of those sites are dedicated for more than just comics. There's
Right.
a lot of different stuff out there, music, technology, especially technology. Tech is huge on both of those sites.
Yeah.
And so the traffic that you get to these campaigns, especially when they're getting shadow banned, I mean, there's zero. There's nothing. You can't even search them.
Right.
What's the point of giving someone 50% more of your money or however much it is? Whatever. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
a significant amount more than
yeah.
what you had before, and just don't like. I know there's going to be some growing pains getting used to the FMC system. It's a little bit different. They don't
Yeah.
do add-ons the same way, but
Right.
they have the ability to create packages. So you just create packages and do it that way. Once you
Well-
get through all of that and you figure it out, it's good to go. I mean, it's not that big a
one
deal.
of the biggest sticking points has been the backer number. People, when you do a launch night, people like to have that number. You know, I'm the first one. You know, I'm the first one here, and FMC not having that has kind of like, yeah, it's been a sticking point for some people. I mean, it seems minor in a lot of ways, and how's that going to affect anything? You know, and Luke wanted to know how many total number of people he has funding on Fund My Comic, but I think adding that backer number was like one of the last hurdles for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the next thing they're doing. And
Yeah.
Bionic Bra, what's up, dude? Hey, welcome. I mean, something simple like that doesn't seem like it'd be significant, you know, and it doesn't really affect your bottom line. But the psychology of it, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've seen when Bancroft launches on Fund My Comic, and people are like, "Oh, which backer number were you?" And they have to like estimate how many did you start with, you know, how many were on the website to start with, and and
Well,
there's a psychology
the
to the launch that
yeah.
that addresses. Go ahead.
The good thing for the campaign runner, at least, is that they can go in, download their transaction list, and actually pull who was number one and be able to tell, okay, this is A, B, C, D, and who got it.
Right.
I know it's not as convenient, but at least in the interim, until that particular feature is built,
Yeah.
the option is there to at least congratulate your first backer. So
Right. Right.
it's not great, but it's at least one of those things. And again, growing pains. The site's been up for barely a year.
Right.
Tremendous growth in that amount of time. Already a lot of changes have taken place since day one when it first launched.
Yeah.
There've been little hiccups here and there. They've cleaned up a ton of stuff. They've fixed things. They've taken consideration from feedback people have given them, and they've adapted. And the nice thing is that you're dealing with a person. Like when you have a problem with FMC or you have a suggestion for FMC, you go and you hit up Luke. You say, "Hey, Luke, this isn't working for me. Can you tell me how I can do this differently, or what am I doing wrong here?"
Yeah.
And can you add this feature? And he can literally reply to you and say, "Yeah, I'll take that into consideration," or, "Hey, sorry, that's just not the way our site works. However, here's X, Y, and Z." They got the Discord set up to be able to answer questions. And there's just a lot of different stuff available to us that we just don't get from those bigger sites. And,
Well, I think we're getting.
it's awesome.
We're probably getting to the limit of what Luke can do himself, and I think he's probably going to have to start delegating more. But for right now, being able to contact the guy who runs the site and have like, if I have a technical issue, it gets addressed. You know, there's a voice I can talk to or somebody I can interact with. And right now at Indiegogo, you can put in like a request, but who's going to see it? You know, they've completely gutted the office of people who were used to interact with you and used to see your problems, and everything gets forwarded to Trust and Safety now. And Trust and Safety is anti-customer. Anybody that has Trust and Safety, they basically put in an entity built into their system that's anti-customer. They're anti-people to use their website. It's going to be it's antagonistic towards people that actually use their website, and So if you see trust and safety come into a website or a company, then you know that the quality is going to go downhill and the customer service is going to tank immediately. It's like the biggest red flag. And if you're wondering about if they're actually shadow banning people on Indiegogo, this man right here, early on when people were first starting to notice this thing happening, he built a little program to basically detect if they had a debooster algorithm on your campaign. And before somebody ran to Indiegogo and pointed out that this was happening, and they found out that that people can see this, and they hid it. They started hiding it.
Yeah.
There was definitely an algorithm that was being placed on people's campaigns that deboosted them and hid them from web search. So.
They referred to it as go-go factor, and go-go factor was how much they felt that your campaign could work as far as advertising, I think, and like promotability. And then there was also the index. There's this meta tag for site indexing, and it tells search engines essentially, do you want to index this or do you not want to index it? And the campaigns that were having trouble being seen or found typically had that turned off or set to no index, and that just means that the search engines wouldn't pick them up. And if they had them in their listing before, they would eventually drop off. The search engine would come back to check to see if that was updated. They would see that the tag was set to no index, and they would remove that page from their search engine.
Right.
And effectively erasing that campaign from being able to be searched anywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't 100% of an indicator that it was shadow banned on the website on Indiegogo, because there were instances where you could still find the campaign if you search through all the listings.
Right.
But it was a very clear indicator that they were looking at removing you from being searched.
Yeah.
And it just grew from there. But then, of course, people pointed it out, started saying, hey, you're deboosting me, you're doing this. And then they went and removed those fields from the listing, except for the no index. No index has to be there because that is a structural thing for the web. And so you can still at least check that and say, okay, look, they're telling search engines not to look at you. I couldn't tell for sure whether or not the actual site's blocking you, but I can say there's an indicator here that says your campaign is likely going to be blocked.
Right.
So it's a mess, but it is, for whatever reason, they decided that was necessary for a lot of campaigns. And they're charging you extra money to not let people find you.
Yeah. And so basically, I believe you crunched the numbers and you determined that for the money that you're paying, paying Indiegogo, they're absolutely driving no traffic to your campaign whatsoever. That it all comes from you. It all comes from direct links to your campaigns or direct links that you push. And that
Luke actually did a lot of the math there. I think he had checked a bunch of things, but the consensus of the data was that they were taking credit for certain things. Like if somebody came into the Indiegogo site, you've got a really specific name for your campaign, and so they come in, like Shadowpunk, for instance.
Right.
I don't know how many people are going to walk into Indiegogo and just type in the word Shadowpunk. Probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
But somebody would come into the campaign, type in the word Shadowpunk, find your campaign, click on it, and Indiegogo would say, hey, they found you through our website, through our search engine. Congratulations. We're taking credit for that.
Even though they wouldn't have heard about it or wouldn't have found it in the browse.
Exactly. But, and that's shady. It's shady as hell. And that's the way it is. But so you take their stats with a grain of salt when they say how many people they've actually driven to you. And ultimately, the large percentage of people that even knew about you probably found you either through live stream, through Twitter or something, or even just heard the name and said they were going to go look it up, and then they had to go search it up. And in situations like that, it's just you're driving upwards of 90% of your traffic to your campaign. So why pay all that extra money to anybody else? You can put it in your pocket with FMC. Right.
So let's review. So there's 5% off your percentage of whatever you make. The 11%, the $11 tip, if you don't set it to a lower number or it's a zero, that gets added onto that total that you supposedly made, and then they get 5% of that too. And all this, and they're actively suppressing your campaign from being searched, at least from their website and on the net, because Google looks at that the information they provide, and so all that, and it's even if the most that percentage that FMC takes, which is 3%, that's still 2 percentages less. Plus, you're searchable to the rest of the net, and there's no suppression. There's no active suppression. Plus, you get customer service, still existing for customer service, and you're also being actively helped, like things like this calculator. And
the latest thing being that the indexing that you do get from Indiegogo on Google sometimes doesn't even have the right information about your campaign. You'll go look up something like Smokes the Fox and get a campaign description for some horror like book about a I don't even remember what it was, like a cube or something that ate people. I don't remember. It was just some stupid like stoner comedy thing, which is funny because it did meet the kind of criteria for the stoner action thing that he had, but it was completely wrong. Numbers were wrong.
Results were doing something really wacky a couple months back. People were like putting their searching from Google into Indiegogo, and they've been sent to like all sorts of weird stuff that had nothing to do with anything on their campaign. And so the speculation is that Indiegogo decided that they were getting out of the comic book business or the creative side of things and wanted to go completely tech. And so this might we want to attribute like malice, but this is probably just a business decision. Getting out of the creative side of things means that they can get out of the political business, and so the politics demand that they suppress certain ideas or suppress certain like leanings, and so that's a lot of work that they really don't want, and so
it could be. I hate to assume malice in most cases, but the amount of evidence that has been shown for the way that campaigns have been messed with, it's either really, really, really bad, like negligence on their part for maintaining their environments and their code base, or somebody's messing with campaigns. So which is it?
And how they're getting their information about who to target. That's always been a curious one to me. But either way, so that's the FMC difference. FMC is going to wind up being the bet. What's the tagline that Luke wants to introduce? Your favorite crowdfunding website.
There you go. I like that.
Your future favorite crowdfunding website. I think it's what he's doing. But that's the show for today. We want to let you know about this tool that's being developed. Let you know about the FMC difference. And so when you go to create your next campaign, I highly suggest that you make FMC your first stop and not like, your third option. I would suggest trying the FMC difference, and I believe that you'll find out that it is going to wind up being your future favorite crowdfunding website. So that's all we got for today. Thank you, Pixel, for coming on. Pixel has got a current campaign. I've got it in the description for AR-13L, the little Merc Maid. It's it's Ariel meets Rambo. Would you say that's accurate?
That works. Yeah.
All right. So
good enough.
But she's not Ariel. No, she's not Ariel. Okay.
She's not Ariel.
She's just a mermaid that happened to find a cache of weaponry, and and decided to go punish her. So there you go. Check that out. That's the description is the campaign is in the description. I meant to pin it earlier, but I overslept. But that's all we got for today. Plan on as soon as I get off here, finding out what's wrong with the stupid Yeti that it's not working right now. Sorry for the sound content. I meant to fix that beforehand, but once again I overslept today, so there you go. Darn my need to sleep occasionally, you know.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you sleep as little as you do, man. I really don't.
I don't know how I do it either, honestly. I fall asleep at my desk, I think is how I do it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that works. That works. Anyway, so thank you all coming for the fluffiest chat and all of YouTube. And once again, check out Fund My Comic. See what's on the virtual shelves. And we will see you next time, next rabbit hole. Bye, everybody. Have a very good afternoon. See you later.